You know, a little while back, they were trying to make a fight at Madison Square Garden between Vasily Lomachenko and Nicholas Walters. And Walters, the fight seemed like it was all set, and then Walters kind of tried to price himself out, or overvalued what his own worth, and the fight never happened. excuse me for my voice. So now, and that's a New York fight. Both guys had fought at Madison Square Garden, mainly in the theater at Madison Square Garden, and they were both getting pushed with that New York type of flavor, and had good crowds. Having Felix Verdejo fight on the undercard didn't hurt. So when the fight finally was made, after some time, I'm like, well, why is it happening in the West Coast? And then it clicked that boxing in New York is on life support. It's on the critical list, and the New York State Athletic Commission is being run by people who don't know much about boxing, if anything. And basically it boils down to insurance. And first thing first, the base medical insurance was $10,000 for a promoter. That was the base insurance, the minimum that you needed, or what have you. That number jumped up to $50,000, and that's a significant increase. But then, here's the kicker: because of a new law passed that must, in order to say boxing in New York must get changed. On top of the $50,000, and there was another amount that has to be paid. I can't recall what that is. You now have to post a $1 million bond for traumatic brain injury. $1 million. This is in addition. And check this out. Per fighter. $1 million per fighter. Nobody in their right mind is going to promote a fight in New York. I sit around wondering why this Golovkin versus Daniel Jacobs fight hasn't been worked out, and I'm hearing rumors, not surprisingly, about the Jacobs camp and some shenanigans going on. But if it gets approved, is this going to be a one fight card? I mean, $1 million per fighter. And then get this. Check this out. There's no insurance carrier available for combat sports. None. Now, shout out to my man Billy C. I mean, you gotta wonder, did people not pay attention and find out that there wasn't a carrier to handle such, like, if anyone had the guts or had the money enough to do this? I mean, or was this by design, that they knew, first of all, they put it at an amount that was too much for anyone to make it feasible to have a card, and then if that wasn't it, did they know what was going on? Now, ordinarily there's a big murder trial somewhere with a celebrity or something, or just a big case that goes on when there's an election. a major election. Well, I don't know what's out there yet, other maybe the Derrick Rose thing might. It's a civil matter that may turn criminal, but this has political ramifications written on it. Now, Atlantic City was the Las Vegas of boxing back in the 70s, definitely in the 80s, and even a lot of the 90s. Now, I asked a question to Larry Hazzard, the New Jersey commissioner, boxing commissioner, and I agree with Larry a lot on a lot of things, but I disagree with him on this. I think this is a golden opportunity for Atlantic City, for New Jersey for that matter, which is right next to New York, to steal some of Big Brother's thunder and get some big time fights back on the shore, back in Atlantic City and back in New Jersey as a whole. Philadelphia too, but definitely Atlantic City. There's just, it's a golden opportunity to me, and you have some investors who put some money into Atlantic City. If you go to Atlantic City, check out a spot called the Playground. I went there to see Chaz Witherspoon fight, and the actual fight venue was scaled down, and it was small, but when you enter the Playground, I mean, there just was buzz everywhere. I mean, I felt like I was in Atlantic City in its prime. I felt like I was in a Las Vegas or something. It just was a buzz. Maybe that was just a magic Saturday in Jersey that day, but there was just a buzz. The atmosphere was fantastic. They had a club inside of there too. I mean, stores. It just... There was a buzz, and if Atlantic City's to make a comeback, I mean, this is a way that they can take advantage of it to get some major fights, get some revenue pumped up into something big, and take advantage of a huge mistake by New York. I got a press release, and we'll post it on thefightjournal.com tomorrow. Got a press release from Joe DeGuardia, Star Boxing. They had to cancel their October 14th card at the Paramount because, because of this new law. And the law is based on MMA coming to New York. New York legalized MMA, and from what I hear, I don't know if it's true, but from what I hear, MMA doesn't have to follow these same guidelines. They don't have to pay the $1 million and what have you, which to me is just a slap in the face. Once again, if anything is a contact or a combat sport, it's MMA more than boxing. I mean, you don't have the big gloves on. You got a bunch of guys walking around with cauliflower ears, and the cauliflower ears that they have, I mean, well, the ears aren't connected to the head, are they? Are ears connected to your head? I mean, you think some headshots happen in order to get them? Now, I understand, and I'm all for boxing safety. However, and let me quote a piece of what DeGuardia had to say. While it is disguised as a safety measure, it does nothing to improve the health and safety of the boxers. In fact, it may create the opposite effect, forcing boxers to move to other jurisdictions with fewer protections, particularly in substantial health and safety matters that New York has had in place for many years. and New York has had those things. I believe there's still some litigation due to the fighter a few years ago, the Mike Perez fight, where Mike Perez, his fight, it was in Madison Square Garden, and the opponent was in a coma for some time. So I don't know, and that's Abdul Salamov. Listen, everybody's all for the safety of the fighters. I get that, but adding money is a reactive approach. In other words, okay, fighter gets injured, fighter's insured at a higher amount. Okay, that's one thing. But what are you doing to prevent fighter A or fighter B from getting hurt? Be proactive on that side, the front end, and not the back end where you're being reactive. So, I don't know. Boxing, New York is, I'm not sure what's going to happen other than getting some people that don't have an agenda, a political agenda, and some people that just understand boxing and so on and so forth. So DeGuardia makes a good point. Bob Arum, boxing is in a crisis position in the state of New York, and we must find a way to resolve the insurance issue before we can go back to presenting boxing to the fans of New York. So I guess I just made my point there that the Loma, the Vasily Lomachenko and the Nick Walters fight is out west. Lou DiBella added that the state of boxing in New York State must change. I've been extremely active in promoting shows in New York, but at this time I have moved all of my shows to other states for the foreseeable future. I couldn't do a show in New York if I wanted to, as no insurance required by the new law and regulations currently exists. So there you have it. Golden Boy. It's a huge concern. I hope it changes. It affects everybody, and it's troublesome. We're going to have to really think about doing shows in New York, because the way it stands right now, we can't do a show as there is no insurance approved. This must be adjusted. Let me tell you something. They can add insurance tomorrow. Those shows are not coming to New York. Not at the rate they're asking. I mean, you put 8 fights on, 16 fighters, what is that? $16 million plus $50,000 per, and there's this other fee. I don't know, but it's a sad day in New York boxing. I'm an East Coast guy, and I knew Loma versus Walters was coming here because that was the original design, and unfortunately I won't get to see that fight live. And come on, New Jersey, step up, step in there, and get yours. I don't know. It looks like it's going to be somebody needs to make a move on the East Coast. You got the new what do you call it? The new MGM in Maryland / DC. Okay, and the DMV fight scene is it's on a different platform now. It's on a come up. So new MGM, I believe it only seats about 3,000 to 5,000 by design, but I'll take that. That's at the National Harbor. That's a place that a lot of folks come through to see. And now that you added the new MGM casino, a lot more folks are going to be traveling. Why not put boxing there? So I don't know. I think New York's, one person's trash is the next person's treasure. I'm gonna reach out to Larry Hazard again and see if there's anything that's coming. I mean, Danny Garcia is rumored to have a fight in Atlantic City. I mean, this could be the stage that Atlantic City needs. And Donald Trump, win or lose, maybe he can become a figurehead in boxing again, and maybe even give his buddy Don King one last run, and let history repeat itself. But we'll see what happens. Follow us at The Fight Journal on Twitter. Go to thefightjournal.com. On the top left side, you'll see follow this blog via email. If you type your email in that box, you won't have to look for us. Every video we do, every article or interview we have, it'll come directly to your email. If you're on a mobile phone and you see a blue and white screen, go to the bottom and select full site in order to see the box that I just mentioned. Follow our friends at DPG Uncut TV for the latest entertainment news, hip-hop news, so on and so forth. We'll catch you on the next one.